David Hampshire, Leslie Johnson, David Murray and David Hampshire, and Bob Gerard. Having met the drivers, the royal party proceeded to the specially prepared stand to watch the day's sport. There was also another historic first during the day when the sleek British Motor Racing Research Trust car made its first public appearance. The car, designed by Peter Burton and produced at an estimated cost of £200,000 from components supplied by many branches of the motor industry, has a 16-cylinder, 1.5-litre engine of revolutionary design. On this demonstration run, the car was driven by Raymond Mays, instigator of the project. As she has pushed away, listen for the roar of power and the scream of the two-stage supercharger. An impressive debut with flashes of brilliant acceleration. The paddock, that social centre of motorsport, gathering ground for drivers, mechanics, trade officials, and a host of other enthusiasts, is one of the most interesting spots on any motor racing circuit. As colourful as the racing cars themselves, we have the magnificent tender vans, each proudly bearing the name of some racing organisation. Many of them have travelled for several days in order to deliver their valuable cargoes. From Italy, we have the Alfa team, almost certain winners, indisputable post-war champions of motor racing. These 1.5-litre supercharged cars develop 300 brake horsepower, and in the hands of some of Europe's finest drivers, they have swept home to victory after victory. Also, from the continent are the big French Largo Talbots of 4.5-litre capacity, and unsupercharged, these cars have the advantage of being able to travel through most races without losing valuable seconds refueling. Carrying the pale blue racing colours of France, these cars have raced extensively in post-war years. Another very successful Italian car is the 1.5-litre Maserati, these two belonging to Prince Peer of Siam and Baron de Graffenried of Switzerland. This similar model, belonging to French H. Louis Chiron, stands beneath covers to protect it from the hot sun. These will soon be off, and like the British ERA of T.C. Harrison, the engine will be roaring into life. Bob Gerard's ERA, coated like the that will soon be on the track. These two Alfa cars of beautiful proportions, which are still in their infancy, belong to Jeff Crossley and Joe Kelly. Leaving the paddock, we follow the cars to the pit area, where all the last-minute preparations will be made. Out they come, one by one, wheeled by mechanics whose enthusiasm and devotion to duty knows no limits. Men who will work all night between practice and race day in order to get their cars to the starting line. There is colour everywhere as the cars stand wheel to wheel awaiting the warming-up lap. The red of Italy, blue of France, yellow of Belgium, green of Britain, yes, they all blend beneath the fluttering flags of competing nations to give an air of pageantry unequalled in any sport. Checking goes on, engines warm up, and the spring air is filled with the tang of burning fuel and oil in these last few hectic minutes. And now, on the line, we see Reg Parnell, who was paid the compliment of being handed the fourth car of the Alfa team. Having made the fastest time in practice, the Alfa drivers were all in the front line, and as their mechanics change the practice plugs, the tension before the start builds up. Soon, starter motors will be connected, and with a mighty roar, the cars will be away for the first of 70 laps, leaving only smoke in the air and tyre marks on the track. Already, having covered only the first lap of just under 3 miles, the Alfas are in strict line astern positions, 1, 2, 3, and 4, followed by the rest of the field closely grouped together. which has been eased in radius in order that the drivers can use top and third speeds, the procession goes. Our camera gives a fine impression of speed as in the distance we see one of the course's fastest stretches, the uphill run to the fastest corner of all, Maggots, just before the finishing straight. Watch the driver's techniques and observe the obviously superior road holding and acceleration of the Alpha cars as they four-wheel drift round this corner. The first British car to be in pursuit of the leaders was that of Bob Gerrard, whose fine driving and reliability make him an almost certain finisher whenever he runs. After 30 laps, approximately 90 miles, Farina was leading at an average speed of 91.7 miles per hour, with his teammates Fagioli, Fangio and Parnell in second, third and fourth places. Their lead was by now very great, but a ding-dong battle was going on between Harrison and Gerrard in 9th and 10th places. The protecting straw bales at Stowe Corner give a good indication of the speed at which these cars are taking this right-hand bend. Afternoon, the cars travelled on, and the Alphas started their pit stops at the 36th lap. Fangio was the first in, and with a beautifully drilled refill, he was away again in 25 seconds. This dropped him to fourth place, but the order was soon restored as his teammates make their stops. The pace was taking its toll, however, and like a crippled bird, we see De Graff and Reed's Maserati with a rob through the block. 4 other cars were out at this halfway stage, leaving only 16 runners. Gerrard's pit stop was, as usual, perfectly executed by his well-drilled mechanics. A signal, fuel in, checks made, and away to take over the 6th place from his friend Cuff Harrison. The race was now almost finished. Fangio had retired with a broken oil pipe, and with 200 miles behind them, the flag falls as Farina, Fagioli and Parnell crossed the line. A sweeping Alpha victory. Bob Gerrard, in his well-prepared vintage Type ERA, was the first British driver to finish. His position was 6th behind 2 French Talbots, and he was closely followed by T.C. Harrison, here seen enjoying a well-earned drink. Meanwhile, the victorious drivers were lined up before a battery of cameras, Farina, Fagioli and Parnell.